government said Syria's top diplomat and long-time foreign minister Walid al-Muallim, a staunch defender of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's bloody crackdown on peaceful protesters that sparked a decade-old conflict, has died on Monday. There were no details on the cause of death, but the 79-year-old had for years been in poor health with heart problems. Muallim, who was first appointed foreign minister in 2006 and also held the post of deputy prime minister, held a succession of top diplomatic posts, including envoy to the United States, and was involved in unsuccessful negotiations with Israel in the 1990s on a peace settlement. Ethiopian forces have liberated a town in the northern Tigray region, the government's emergency task force said on Monday, accusing local leaders of taking 10,000 prisoners from the town as they fled. Tigray forces fired rockets into neighboring Eritrea last Saturday, escalating a 13-day conflict which has killed hundreds on both sides and threatens to destabilize other parts of Ethiopia and the Horn of Africa. The government's task force said as Tigray's ruling party militia were defeated in Alamata, they fled, taking along around 10,000 prisoners. With access restricted and most communications down in Tigray, the statements could not be independently verified. An amended filing by U.S. President Donald Trump's campaign on Monday significantly narrowed the scope of an effort that had earlier sought to scrap about 680,000 votes cast in Pennsylvania. The lawsuit originally sought to block Pennsylvania from certifying its election results unless it threw out mail-in votes from the state's most populous counties, which include the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh areas that voted heavily in favor of Democrat Joe Biden. It alleged that Trump-affiliated observers were limited from watching votes being counted in Democratic strongholds. Peru's President Manuel Moreno resigned Monday, just 5 days after taking office, sparking celebrations in the capital Lima following street protests against him and the ousting of his popular predecessor. President Moreno, who is 59 years old, stepped down shortly after a crisis session of Congress called on him to quit or face censure. Thousands have taken to the streets in days of protest against Moreno following the ouster of his predecessor, Martin Vizcarra, who was impeached on corruption allegations last week. Elections are scheduled for April 2021, and President Moreno was scheduled to leave power in July when Vizcarra's mandate was to end. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson went into isolation after a contact tested positive for the coronavirus as a stay-at-home advisory came into effect for the United States' third biggest city on Monday. Global infections have soared past 54 million, with more than 1.3 million deaths, and the worrying spikes have forced governments to reimpose deeply unpopular and economically devastating restrictions on movement and gatherings. Europe has been hit particularly hard by a second wave of the pandemic, with curbs reimposed, often in the face of protests, from Greece to Britain, where PM and COVID-19 survivor Johnson went into self-isolation after coming into contact with an MP who later tested positive for the virus. The U.S. surpassed 11 million coronavirus cases Monday, adding 1 million new cases in less than a week, according to a tally by Johns Hopkins University. The dizzying rise came as cities and states across the United States were implementing new restrictions to try to halt the spread of the virus, with stay-at-home orders set to be imposed on Chicago Monday. The U.S. had crossed the 10 million cases threshold on Monday, November 9th. A week later, the Johns Hopkins University real-time tracker showed that the confirmed U.S. caseload stood at 11,025,046. Johnson & Johnson launched a new late-stage trial in Britain on Monday to test a two-dose regimen of its experimental COVID-19 vaccine among thousands of volunteers as the U.S. drug maker expands its trials by geography and type. Scientists leading the UK trial said the UK arm of the study is aiming to recruit 6,000 participants among a total of 30,000 people globally. Volunteers will be recruited at 17 cities across the UK. Saul Faust, a professor of pediatric immunology and infectious diseases who is co-leading the trial at University Hospital Southampton, said they will be given a first dose of either a placebo or the experimental shot, followed by a second dose of placebo 57 days later. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said Monday that his government has agreed to buy 10 million doses of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine against COVID-19. The vaccines will come in the first quarter of 2021. President Maduro said at an event in Caracas broadcast on government television, adding that Venezuela will manufacture the Russian vaccine in the Venezuelan laboratories. In August, Russia became the first country to register a vaccine against COVID-19, which it named Sputnik V, after the world's first satellite launched into space in 1957. However, the announcement has been met with skepticism in the international community. South Korea reported more than 200 new coronavirus cases for the third consecutive day on Monday, as the government was tightening social distancing to curb persistent outbreaks from offices, medical facilities, and small gatherings. The Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency posted 223 cases as of Sunday midnight, marking the 8th straight day of a triple-digit increases and the highest since early September. Health authorities warned of re-strengthening distancing curbs, which were relaxed about a month ago to the lowest levels, as small cluster infections continue to break out while the pandemic is raging around the globe. Starting Thursday, New Zealanders will be legally required to wear masks on public transport in Auckland and all planes nationwide. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Virus Response Minister Chris Hipkins announced the new rules on Monday after meeting with senior lawmakers. The country has been largely successful in eliminating the virus, but has experienced several small outbreaks in Auckland, the latest one after a military worker at a hotel where travelers returning from abroad are being quarantined got infected. Premier Ardern said the new rules were precautionary. Iota rapidly gained strength after becoming the 13th hurricane of the Atlantic season Monday, threatening to bring more dangerous winds and rains to Nicaragua and Honduras, countries recently clobbered by Category 4 Hurricane Eta. Nicaragua's government said that authorities had begun evacuating some people near the country's border with Honduras, an area that forecasts said likely would be in Iota's path. Iota became Category 2 hurricane late Sunday afternoon, and the U.S. National Hurricane Center warned it would likely be an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm when it approached the Central American mainland late Monday. Authorities confirmed an earthquake measuring 6 on the Richter scale jolted the Philippines' Sergio del Sur province on Monday. The Philippine Institute of Seismology and Volcanology said the offshore quake, which struck at 6:37 a.m., hit at a depth of 33 kilometers, 29 kilometers southeast of the town of San Augustine. It said the quake, which was tectonic in origin, will trigger aftershocks and the damages are expected. There were no immediate reports of any damages or injuries.